Get the new SureCall Flex2Go 3G portable cell signal booster kit from Powerful Products. Visit their website right now. This portable 50 decibel cell phone booster kit, complete kit, is specifically designed for both vehicle and desktop use. Use it in your car or truck or on a desktop in your home, office, RV, cabin, or boat. Everything is included for quick, easy setup in a carry case. Again, check out the SureCall Flex2Go 3G portable cell signal booster kit at powerfulproducts.com. Hey everybody, I'm Christopher Green. You're tuning into AMTV, Alternative Media Television. It is, of course, Wednesday, July 23rd, 2014, and more bloodshed in Gaza. Live updates, 3 more IDF soldiers killed in Gaza as Israel invades. Of course, this is all called an incursion by Western media. And you'll get reports like, hey, was the deadly Israeli invasion of Gaza justified? Of course it was. This is how the mainstream media frames this narrative. Could you imagine if they framed it the opposite way? Be like, hey, was Osama bin Laden justified in blowing up buildings? So you'll never see that side of it, but you'll see it in defense of Israel because it's the primary objective and it's the mainstream agenda, not just of the status-controlled, bought and paid for, owned mainstream media, but of global governments and Western governments here in the West. In the meantime, UN Rights Council to form commission of inquiry over alleged Israeli war crimes in Gaza, which is exactly what they are. This is a humanitarian crisis, and boatloads of people are being killed. The death count of innocent civilians, men, women, and children, eclipsing over 500 and growing in recent days. Israel asked the United States for $225 million, I guess to help kill more innocents, for missing Iron Dome parts. Defense Minister tells IDF troops, prepare for round 2 of the next mission in Gaza. You can see some of the horrifying images of war. Smoke and fire from the explosion of an Israeli strike rise over Gaza City on Tuesday, July 22nd, 2014. Israel's Operation Protective Edge. I love the propaganda here. Operation Protective Edge. And you notice how they also always call it an offensive. It's not an invasion, but it's Israel's ground offensive. Like, it's a good thing that they're invading a territory and killing innocent people. They enter its 16th day on Wednesday of the Operation Protective Edge, the offensive, the military offensive of Israel. On Wednesday, marking the 6th day of the IDF's ground incursion into the Gaza Strip. 3 IDF soldiers were killed on Wednesday, raising the number of Israeli military fatalities since the operation commenced to 32. Again, no real mention until we get further along in the article of the innocent civilians dead. They put more weight on 32. Israel military fatalities since the operation commenced and since it began. And then it goes on here as you continue to read further. At least 350 Palestinians have been killed since Israel began its ground operation, raising the recent escalation's death toll in Gaza to now over 655, moving past 500, with some 4,000 plus people wounded. This is an absolute humanitarian crisis on an epic scale, far worse than the accusations thrown by the West and the mainstream media and the Obama administration in Syria and the propaganda that was spewed by organizations like CNN accusing Bashar al-Assad of launching a chemical attack on his own people, when this, of course, came to light days, weeks, and months later after independent UN investigators, people like Carla Del Ponte, came to the conclusion after looking at the evidence that it was the actual insurgents on the ground, funded and sponsored and armed by U.S.-backed interests, that committed the heinous act that killed innocents. And now we have the same shaping, the same propaganda here in Israel and in Gaza with this quote-unquote incursion, killing an estimated over 655 people, many of these civilians, with 4,220 wounded. Well, where's the outcry now, folks? Where's the the humanitarians out there now? Why aren't Americans up in an uproar now? It's all because of the mainstream media agenda and how they pitch this to the people, justifying the actions of Israel. International efforts to stop the fighting between Israel and Hamas in the Gaza Strip have resumed on Tuesday, following Monday's arrival in the region of UN Secretary and the expected arrival of U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry. On Tuesday, following a rocket attack near the international airport, the Federal Aviation Administration placed a 24-hour ban on all U.S. flights to and from Israel. And I pointed this out. Isn't it interesting? And isn't it amazing that the FAA can place immediate bans on travel to and from Israel and Tel Aviv, but they can't put out the same warnings for a downed, allegedly, from a missile attack on the ground, flight MH17. They allow that to fly over a known conflict zone, a known war zone, and it's shot down, allegedly, according to what we know, even though we really don't have any evidence, or have we looked at the results of an independent investigation. We just have yelling on both sides and the framing of Vladimir Putin as the next Hitler. But isn't it amazing the FAA can place a 24-hour ban on all flights moving to Tel Aviv, but they can't do it over a known war zone in Ukraine. They just allow planes to fly all over there. They don't really care about that, but they've got a ban on all international flights to and from Israel. Of course, we'll be updating you live on all of this in the second round of this bloody second incursion and second ground invasion operation by Israel into Gaza. And many people dying as a result. Reuters reports that Gaza bloodshed deepens. Airlines shun Israel. You can see images here of people standing in the rubble as Kerry steps up his diplomatic push as Israel pummels the Gaza Strip. In Jerusalem, Kerry says some progress made towards Gaza ceasefire. The U.S. Secretary of State meeting with the UN's ban in capital, scheduled to meet with Benjamin Netanyahu before traveling to talk with others in the region. U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry said on Wednesday some progress had been made. Yeah, I guess the 600 plus dead and the 4,000 wounded is progress, according to John Kerry, in efforts to bring an end to 16 days of fighting between Israel and Hamas. We have certainly made some steps forward. There is still work to be done, Kerry said shortly after arriving in Jerusalem for a meeting with the UN Secretary, Kerry arriving, of course, in Tel Aviv earlier on Wednesday, to meet with officials to discuss the ongoing ceasefire efforts. So all this talk about ceasefire as Israel launches its second ground attack invasion, this Operation Protective Edge in Gaza. Again, all of this bullshit, folks, all of this propaganda, all of this being framed by the West, pulling stories and asking questions like, is Israel's deadly invasion of Gaza justified? That's what the mainstream media is saying. And they say, yes, it is, according to Dallas News. Is Israel's ground invasion in Gaza justified? According to Bloomberg TV, I mean, could you imagine if they took the other side of the narrative? If they took the side of Hamas, for example? Is Hamas's attack, rocket launches into Israel justified? Is the Palestinians' side of the equation justified? Of course, you'll never see that. You'll never see an independent report. You'll never see independent reporting. And nor will you get independent evidence until much later, and until most of the American populace and those tuning into the mainstream BS media don't really care anymore. Everybody forgets with their short-term memory loss who the actual perpetrators of these events are. And of course, the United States and Russia engaged in a propaganda war, the new Cold War, the framing of Vladimir Putin as the next Antichrist and the next Hitler as justification and being used as a scapegoat for war. I'm Christopher Green. Get this video out everywhere. Make it viral. I want to hear what you think. Put your comment, question in the description box, comment box below, and get this video out everywhere. Click the link below to support our sponsor.